Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. If you can just scan that QR code, just let us know that you have joined us and confirm your attendance, that would be great. If you can just pop a comment in the chat box that you can hear us all okay, and also let us know where you're joining us from today in the country as well. It'd be great to see and hear where you're all from. Fabulous. Brilliant. There's a few coming in there.
From
Brilliant. Wow.
Edinburgh, from Turkey, from
Oh, look, got Surrey
Cornwall.
here. All over. Brilliant. Well, guys, a big thank you for joining us today. Just to let you know, I'm Manisha. I'm the trade marketing manager at Not in the Guidebooks. And just to let you know, this webinar is being recorded. So it'll be uploaded onto our Agent Hub and our Facebook group later. So you can listen back and share it with your teams and colleagues if you wish to share it with them. And there will also be a Q&A at the end. So any questions that you have, pop them in the chat box and we will make our way through those later on today. So I'm joined this morning by Carol. Good morning, Carol.
Good morning, everybody.
So Carol's our CEO at Not in the Guidebooks, and she's recently returned from an epic adventure from South America. So you'll hear all about it today with Carol. And on today's journey, she's going to really share her experiences, some key stories from her trip, and hopefully inspire you guys with the adventure. We'll also be sharing some very exciting news, where you guys will be the first to hear today. So do stay tuned in for that. Plus a sneak peek at some of our new itineraries. So let's get started. And over to you, Carol.
Okay, well, thank you. Today, good morning, everybody, first. I don't want to just do a presentation. I want to take you with me today to Chile and Argentina, the not in the guidebooks way. But before we start, I want to just tell you that when I went to Chile, I didn't realize before I went there the size and the length of Chile. End to end, it's 2,670 miles, which versus the UK being only 600 miles, it's about 4.5 times longer. So, what that means is it's the same as a holiday going from northern Norway to the southern tip of Spain. So, let's take a look at where we went. We flew in, first of all, to Santiago, then went up north to the Atacama, then came back down past Santiago to Puerto Varas, which is the Lake District, and then all the way south down to Torres del Paine. We then crossed over by bus to Argentina, El Calafate, onto Buenos Aires, to Mendoza, and then back to Santiago. So there are a number of different ways that you can design this trip. And really, depending on what your clients are interested in or how long they've got, we've created a number of different itineraries. But I'm going to talk you through my itinerary and tell you about some of the moments that really, really stuck with me. Okay, let's start with the Atacama. So, the Atacama Desert is the driest non-polar desert on Earth, and yet it's the most alive place I've ever been. I genuinely didn't have the words when I got there. I was thinking kind of stark, vast, but that didn't convey the breathtaking beauty. This is landscape like I've never seen before. I felt like I was on the moon or on Mars. It was vast, it was silent, it felt ancient. The salt flats stretched so far that the horizon started to blur. The Rainbow Mountains were layers of red, white, green, and it looked like it had just been painted on. But the thing that really threw me off guard were the wildlife. You can see here flamingos in the middle of the desert, eating in the salt lagoons. And then there were guanacos grazing on the edge of the desert. So pretty, amazing. One of those rare places that's genuinely breathtaking, unlike anything else on earth. And that's before you've even done anything. So the other thing that is pretty well known are the kind of treks and activities that you did. But for me, the most extraordinary was when I went off at 6 o'clock in the morning to the geysers. We started out and it was pitch black. We drove up to the El Tatio geyser and it was absolutely freezing. I didn't realize I needed all this extra clothing because we drove up to 4,500 meters in altitude. So I came from the desert
materials also. So the scientist studies the climate of the past with this kind of rock.
So amazing with a local guide. And then the sun came up, and suddenly we're standing in a landscape of steam. Since, and we've driven here in the dark, watched the sun rise, and seen all of these amazing bubbles. Exactly what we see. So here it is, and you're looking at steam with bubbling up water geysers, 80 degrees centigrade, and you're just in the middle of nature. And then this was the best bit for me, breakfast, probably one of my best memories. We found this place, we were taken to the top of the mountain overlooking the geysers. There was no one else there. It was so quiet, and they opened up their minivan. The driver got out and started making scrambled eggs, mashed avocado, fresh fruit, and we had, real coffee. It was absolutely unbelievable. Best breakfast ever with the most incredible views. This is the kind of thing that your clients are going to be talking about. So something else that, and I know because we sent some clients exactly here that they came back talking about, and that's the stargazing. Just picture this. You're sitting, lying on a sunbed here. These aren't sunbeds, these are for sun gazing, under the clearest sky on earth, no light pollution, no noise, and a local astronomer who's pointing out the different stars using a green laser, which looks to me like she's actually touching the stars. These pictures were taken from my phone, so we could see them with the naked eye. We saw the Southern Cross, Orion's Belt, the Milky Way. And then this is Jupiter with its 4 moons, which I saw through the telescope. It was absolutely magical and something that has to be experienced. So along the way, I want to talk you through a number of different properties. And as you know, for us, the properties are just as important as the experiences. It's all about the character and they add to the journey. Now, in the Atacama, my favorite hotel was Habitas Boutique Resort in San Pedro, because you're actually in the middle of the very, very small town, and it combines luxury and sustainability in perfect harmony with the desert. Just look at this. It's absolutely incredible. It really is part of the journey, even with a beautiful pool. Then the other hotel that stands out is an amazing resort built on the edge of the Rainbow Valley. It's the Niara Alto. It's an all-inclusive in a completely different way, because unlike what I traditionally know as all-inclusive, this is just about creating activities, and they did it in such a good way that would actually, talk to people about what they wanted to do and how active they were. So people who weren't active could do, drive arounds and get involved without having to worry about walking too far. But the actual place was built with terraces looking out into cactus and the mountains. In the morning, you step out into nothing but silence, mountains and the vast open desert. And oh, by the way, the food was Michelin star level. So from the Atacama, we then took a flight from Calama Airport down to Puerto Montt, and the change is astonishing. You're leaving behind Mars and going to the Lake District. This is one of the moments in a South America itinerary that never fails to leave people speechless. It's the sheer contrast between the different landscapes in one country. And it makes Chile really, really interesting. We were staying in a charming German-influenced lakeside town on the shores of Lago Yanquihue, with the Osorno volcano rising perfectly behind it. And we went on these treks, walking along the forest in Petro Way through to the waterfall. And we then walked to the volcano crater, went to the lake and finished at a spot with naturally hot springs, no tourists, only locals there with a glass of wine and some empanados. It has this quality of feeling entirely authentic. It doesn't feel designed for tourists, it just feels real, and that's exactly what our clients are looking for. Okay, our next stop was we went further south from Puerto Montt to Puerto Natales. It is the gateway to Torres del Paine and one of the most remote regions on Earth. The landscape, so we've gone from desert to Lake District, and now it's changed again. The trees are lower, it's more windswept, the light's different, it's colder, the air has a really clean and clear quality to it. We drove around the national park on one day where your clients can get out and get the most amazing views of the mountains. Look at that glacier. You can see here the Torres del Paine. There are three of them that rise vertically out of the steppe, and they're around 12 million years old. And they're the centerpiece of the national park that covers over 180,000 hectares of glaciers, lakes, and mountains. And I'm not a hiker. I had 3.5 days of walking, 3 half days of walking, where we saw guanacos, wild horses, sheep. It's what I would describe as soft adventure, and we got to see the real Patagonia. So let me take you through some of the properties we saw here and that we recommend. Pampas Lodge is right at the beginning of the park. And just think, you go for your long days outdoors and then you return to this where you've got the most phenomenal views, beautiful fireplaces, glass of common air, great food. This is for travelers who love nature but also love comfort, who don't want to rough it but want to feel deeply embedded in the landscape. It's simple, it's quiet, and it's remote, and it was absolutely wonderful. The next property we went to was Patagonia Camp. This really is luxury clamping. These are private geodesic domes perched on the shore of the Laro Toro Lake with floor to ceiling windows looking directly out onto the national park. You'll fall asleep to the sound of the Patagonian wind and you wake up to one of the most spectacular views on Earth with the lake just out there outside of your windows. The food was amazing, absolutely fine dining, and it organizes all the different activities, again, with different levels in terms of your ability or what you want to do. It's intimate, it's romantic, and utterly unforgettable. And for honeymooners or anniversary travelers, there's a no-brainer. And what we've done, I'll talk to you about the estancia later, but what we've done is we've combined it so that you can do 2 days in the park and 2 days on a ranch, which actually really, really gets you to get the feel of Patagonia. So the next place is Tierra that we stayed at was Tierra Patagonia. And this, you can actually see this is the hotel. I don't know if you can see it in the picture, but it is designed to blend in with the Patagonian steppe, very low, very long and organic. It's hidden in the landscape. You don't actually know it's there until you arrive. And inside, it's all natural materials, wood, leather, stone. And the restaurant, the spa, and the bedrooms all have these most amazing windows that look out onto the park with the most incredible views. This is the benchmark for what luxury is in a wild landscape. So just take a look at this. It's for clients who love design, luxury combined with sustainability and a deep sense of place. And you can see I just tried to get actually in the room here, we could see the Torres del Paine. It was incredible, waking up with the sun shining on it in the morning. So the last one I want to show you is Sierra Guida Lodge. This is an estancia. It's a working estancia, a traditional Patagonian ranch. You stay in beautifully restored rooms on a working sheep farm with horses surrounded by condors and guanacos, and the tours are visible in the distance. The experience here is one of connection to the land, to the people who've worked on it for generations, and to the way of life that feels increasingly rare in the world. This is for clients who want authenticity over glamour. it was one of my favorite choices, but it was really incredible. And I'll tell you why in just a minute. But I just want to stop here and say something quite important. Torres del Paine is, of course, famous. And that means there's a version of it that's crowded and touristy. And then there's the way we did it. I went with a private guide. I was offered, do you want to go to this particular route where everybody goes, or would you like to go for a walk in the Begualas, a remote part of Patagonia? And on the way, we ran into a Patagonian traffic jam.
Here I'm seeing these big groups, there's too many ships. Look at them. There's another gaucho.
And bringing up the rear was this tiny gaucha or cowgirl who I later met when I stayed at Sierra Guida. And I don't know if many of you know this, but I turned 60 just before I went on the trip. And I challenged myself to do 60 things for my 60th. One of them was to ride a horse in Patagonia.
I'm riding by myself. She's not holding the reins, you know.
No hands, honestly. No, I wasn't being led round like a pony on a fairground ride. It was amazing. And it really set me up. And it was really about, meeting the people. This Kitty, her name was, and she worked on the farm, and this is where we stayed. And it was, something that you just never forget, but, a beautiful place as well. It's absolutely premium, but, really made the experience. The next morning, we took a 5-hour bus ride, which was very comfortable, and through the landscape, across the border to Argentina, to El Calafate. And before I show you this clip, let me just tell you, I was scared witless. I asked after 5 minutes if I could back out, and they said, you've got to make your choice now. If you back out, you can only do it now, otherwise you've got to go the whole route. And so instead I found the best looking guide to hold my hand along the ice.
We're in Perito Moreno at the top of the world in a glacier. And all I can say is they made me do it, and I did it.
So El Calafate is the gateway to Patagonia's glaciers and one of the few places in the world where you can get incredibly close to them. Some of these icebergs were the most incredible blue color. Fun fact, it's a combination of the pressure and the refraction of light that makes them look so blue. So mini trekking that I did, you need to be under 65, which I just made it. Alternatively, you can go by boat or along the walkways. So I had 6-year-old whiskey at the end to reward myself with 100-year-old ice. So all of these things are the things that live with you forever. So the next thing that really, I wanted to kind of talk about that meant something to me was that we stayed in El Calafate on an Argentinian ranch, an estancia called Nabepo Ake. This was, the gauchos were there. I'd already learnt to ride a horse, as you saw. So here I was able to actually ride out with the gauchos down to the lake, across this vast open land. And really, they just let us in and get involved with what they were doing to go and get the sheep across the mountains. There were other people who joined our group on that day who'd never ridden before. And it was just an incredible experience. And as you saw, they got me involved in milking the cow. They showed us how to shear the sheep, which they did by hand. All of this, it's a family ranch doing what their family has always done, just letting us in, no performance, no script, just real life on a Patagonian ranch. My first ever fast, whatever that is called, type of
Time lapse.
Time lapse. That's it, time lapse. Okay, and then we went from El Calafate. It's a 3-hour flight north to Buenos Aires, and it's quite the transition. You're going from this incredible nature to this most vibrant city. Buenos Aires doesn't ease you in, it just pulls you under. And it's my absolutely favorite city in South America. So in that first morning, we went out with a local guide who's a professor at the university. We walked through all the different districts, talking about culture and history of the place. We tasted the food, we looked at the meaning behind the street art, which was inspired by the 30,000 who disappeared. We went to local places, tasted food.
I'm in Argentina, and what we do usually here, and what I strongly recommend, is just to try a street food tour, because I think that in Argentina, and especially in Buenos Aires, you can understand our culture through food.
And that's what I was going to say, is that we walked along, and as we were going along the tour, we just tasted food along the way, which is a great way to kind of see a city and orientate yourself. And then what I have mentioned before, but for us, what's really important is that the places that you stay, you really know where you are when you wake up in the morning. And we choose the accommodation for character that is just as important as part of the journey. We saw a number of different hotels, but the ones that we're looking for are stays with character, and the Mitico really does pack a punch. It's in the Palermo Soho district, a really cool neighborhood with plenty of bars and restaurants. The place felt, to me, really Argentinian, where each room is uniquely designed to honor Argentinian icons like Evita Peron, Jorge Luis Borges, and Che Guevara. And then a little bit less pricey, but also lovely, is the Palo Santo, which is an eco-friendly luxury boutique hotel located in the vibrant Palermo Hollywood neighborhood. And it's known as Argentinian's first urban green hotel, featuring vertical gardens, sustainable design, 26 elegant rooms with private balconies and a rooftop pool. So we're now carrying on to the wine district and the last part of the journey, which was a really nice way to end in the wine regions. We went first to Mendoza, a 2-hour flight from Buenos Aires west. And as you come into land, the first thing you see is the Andes between Chile and Argentina. So Mendoza is responsible for roughly 70% of Argentina's wine production and home to some of the finest Malbecs. But what made it really different was seeing the different processes. And the one I loved the most was the biodynamic farm, where we had this unbelievably incredible unfiltered wine, which I thought was going to be gross, but was amazing. And that's my orgasmic face. That's just like better than anything. So the wine tastings were special because we went to small boutique producers. We went to places where they had lunches, and we were taken out with the owners to watch the harvesting and see how the process is done, which was really interesting. Again, if I just show you through the type of accommodation. So this is Bella Vista, right at the top of the mountains. And it was really interesting to see wine production at high altitude, very rustic, really gorgeous, but totally remote with the most incredible views. And then further down into Chacras, this is the Entrecielo boutique hotel, really lovely. But my favorite one was Laris de Chacras, because that's this one here coming up, because it was really small. It was lovely. It was intimate, lovely, really nice breakfast, really nice restaurants, but just felt sort of so personal. And the final one is Susana Balboa. This is a really upmarket boutique accommodation, pairing wellness with wine. And she is the first female winemaker, Susana Balboa. So that really is for people who really value wine tasting and wellness together. So that was special. It was only a short hop over the Andes to Santiago. And this is really interesting because you can either experience the Santiago wine regions on a day trip. The Maipo and Casablanca valleys are within easy reach of Santiago, producing some of South America's finest Cabernet Sauvignon and Carmenere. A day trip from the city to a boutique winery in the Maipo Valley includes a private cellar tour, lunch with the winemaker, and then a drive back through the vineyards. Or you can stay overnight in one of the heritage properties, which is the perfect way to end this journey. It brings everything full circle: the landscape, the food, the people, the wine. A beautiful ending to one of the most extraordinary trips I've ever had the privilege of experiencing. So, hi from Santa Rita, Chile, with a glass of Medalla Rare Sauvignon Blanc. Salud. So key things for me to end in is just to say, definitely recommend people take packing cubes because you are packing for 4 seasons, and I underestimated this. I ended up having to buy the balaclava and the thermals to go under my trousers, and I really thought it was only going to be Patagonia, but it wasn't. It was up in the altitudes in Atacama as well. Who this trip appeals to, the people I saw were basically people my age, really, people either in couples or groups of friends traveling together. But I kind of think it's for people with, who really want special trips or special anniversaries or even honeymooners. And best time of year to travel is November through to sort of mid-April, so that you really can get the experience the whole country, and have the best of all the different weather conditions. So we have pulled together, following this trip, a number of different itineraries in Chile and in Argentina, and of course to combine the two together. But all of these are starting points, really, so that you can understand what your client wants and adapt them as needed. So one of the examples, this one here, 12 nights, takes you from Santiago up to the Atacama for 3 nights, Puerto Varas for 2 nights, Patagonia for 4 nights, and then Santiago, ending with the wine region for 2 nights, at the end. So that is a really lovely itinerary. And then you've got Argentinian one, which includes the Iguazu Falls, which I didn't talk about, you can see here, but it is absolute must if people are going to Argentina and haven't been there. I have been lucky enough to go there before, and I think that if you can create, we actually do this itinerary where we go Buenos Aires, El Calafate, Mendoza, and end on the Iguazu Falls because it's an absolute wow moment, and then you come back via Buenos Aires. So there are more on the website that you can have a look at, but let me hand over to Manisha.
Amazing. Thank you, Carol. I think I can just start by saying, wow, what a trip. I'm sure you can all agree that it looks amazing. And if you also agree with that, pop us a heart in the comments box if this has inspired you to want to do this trip as well. So I guess from what you've seen, what we offer is something really different for you guys to offer your customers. I'm not going to be very much longer now. I'm going to give you a quick 5 minutes of update on what's new with us at Not in the Guidebooks, a little reminder about who we are, what we do, what we offer, why we're different, and we've got some big news to share with you at the end, so do stick around. And of course, we'll do any questions with Carol at the end, so pop them in the comments as we go through. So as we kind of touched on, we work with trusted local hosts, and if you didn't know, that is at the heart of everything we do at Not in the Guidebooks. So we work hand in hand with them to deliver exceptional private experiences. And Carol, I'm sure you can vouch, your whole experience wouldn't have been the same without meeting those locals along the way, right?
Absolutely.
Amazing. So every trip we deliver is guided by our 3 pillars, and this is what makes us really different. Everything is an authentic experience. With us, we go deeper into the destination, we connect you and all the customers with our local passionate hosts, unlock the real hidden gems. They are the ones that will share the expertise, really bring that destination to life, and connect you with those local people for a truly authentic experience. all of that is paired with a unique stay. So as we've seen with where some of the places Carol was staying, we handpick all our properties. So they are premium, characterful accommodation, really enriching the journey and ultimately becoming part of the adventure itself. So you won't find any sort of multi-story hotels with us. As you can see, there's some beautiful properties. And then finally, private journey. So all of our trips are designed entirely around the customer. So there'll be immersive transfers. We're flexible with dates. There's the freedom for the customer to travel at their own pace. And some of those experiences may be shared just where they add value. But I think the biggest takeaway from this, if you just pop to the next slide, Carol, is that there are no fixed itineraries. There are no fixed dates. There's no fixed duration. Every itinerary we promote is ultimately a starting point for you guys. It's a conversation starter for you to have with your customers, and they can be tweaked, they can be completely changed around for whatever they require, really. So that is a really key difference with us at Not in the Guidebooks. And then why book with us? So here are just some of the reasons. So we offer over 30 destinations worldwide. So I know we might be known for certain destinations like Lapland, but there's so much more we can offer. And this is all, through a network of over 100 local experts that we work with. And we have over 400 customizable itineraries on our website. So again, they are there to inspire you, the conversation you're having with your customers, but they can be personalized and customized to whatever it is that they need. And as a trade-focused operator, we offer complete price parity. We've got a dedicated trade support team. We now offer flight-inclusive packages, if you didn't already know that. And everything we're doing is ultimately making it easier for you to package and sell. And, as you know, we offer regular fan trips, some great opportunities for you to really experience the destinations that we're talking about, and 24-hour emergency support for that peace of mind as well. So you'll notice that on our website, they are land-only prices. So this is really for more of a flexibility basis for you guys. So if you had customers that wanted to use Avios points, for example, that's also available. But we've got 3 options. So either package yourself if you are able to dynamically package. You can give our team a call and book flights directly with us. Or you can book with your favorite tour operator. So whichever route you choose, for us, it's about making it super easy for you, being flexible and making it straightforward to do business with. And in terms of marketing support, so we've got myself and Michelle and the team here, Not in the Guidebooks, that do all the marketing for you, but we are there to ultimately help you. We appreciate that selling immersive travel isn't about being an expert in every single destination. So we've got a range of tools available to help you sell confidently. So for every destination, you'll find some ready to sell itineraries. We've got tons of downloadable PDFs that you can customize with your logo. We've got a huge bank of video content, which if you're not using it, you are really missing a trick. So do head over to our agent portal. And the details at the end of the slides if you haven't already got access to it, but there's everything you need to really bring these trips to life to your customers. And if you could get your cameras out for the next bit, we'll also pop some links in the chat box if you can't access these QR codes if you're on your mobile. But stay in touch with us, join our Facebook group, join our WhatsApp group. This is where we share daily updates, daily offers, things that you can literally lift and shift to your own profiles to make it super easy for you to get this amazing content in front of your customers. So do join those. I'll leave those up there just for a minute. And as you can see at the bottom, we are available on live chat. So if you've got any inquiries, any questions, just hop on there and speak to our team. They're on there. You see the times on there pretty much all day and Saturdays as well. So you can get in touch with us there. You can always email us or give the team a ring as well. So I did promise that we've got some big news to share. So we are making it easier than ever for you to sell our trips. And we are pleased to announce you are actually the first to actually know this information, that we are going to now, from today, offer a low deposit of just £99 per person across our 2026 departures. So this is really about giving you guys a really strong confidence boosting message to use in your conversations with customers and giving your customers an affordable way to look in their next adventure. So I can see some thumbs up already in the comments there. So thank you very much. This is only available until the end of May. So do make the most of this when you're sharing our content. Pop on the fact that there is a £99 per person low deposit as well. And last but not least, let's talk about our incentives. So hopefully you would have all seen by now, we've talked about it enough, but we are giving you the opportunity to come to Vietnam with us. So this is probably our biggest fan trip that we have ran, after Sri Lanka, that is, of course. And getting involved couldn't be easier. There's 3 ways to be entered into our prize draw. You either make a booking for 3 entries, complete our agent survey for 2 entries, or join a webinar for 1 entry. And there's a little QR code there to do our survey. For those of you that already have, a big thank you. Your feedback is really appreciated and really helps shape what we can deliver for you guys. And we'll pop a link in the comments again if you can't access that QR code. But talking about webinars, there are 2 other webinars that you can join us for more entries. So every webinar equals 1 entry. So we've got coming up later this month with Debbie is exploring the real Lapland with us and the real Costa Rica. So this is all about exploring these 2 destinations in the signature, not in the guidebooks way. So again, you can register via those QR codes. These are on our agent portal as well. They're on the Facebook group, and we'll pop the links in the chat box as well. So a little whistle stop tour about what we have to offer and what we're there for you guys for. But without, we've got some questions. So let's have a quick look what we've got in the chat box. Let me bring this over. Carol, there's tons here for you. I hope you're ready for this.
Okay.
So let's have a look. Lots of people saying thank you. This sounds really, really helpful. So thank you guys for joining us always. Gisella's asking, how long would you recommend staying in each destination? Is there some bits that you'd cut down or do more of, having been on the trip?
So what we've tried to do is put in minimum amounts, and obviously you can stay longer if people want to take it slower and have more time in each area. But what we've tried to do is say this is the minimum, especially because of the long journeys, the long distances between the places. I think with Atacama, you really want a minimum of 3 days. I definitely would say Patagonia. On the Chile side, you want a minimum of 4 days, 4 nights. If you're going to go to Puerto Varas, and that's something that if people are not interested in the Lake District, you could miss and go, and bypass it. I loved it, but if you're going to go there, you want to do a minimum of 2 nights. El Calafate. El Calafate is for people who absolutely want to go to a glacier, stay on a ranch. It's really understanding what they want. So you'd want a minimum of 3 nights there to be able to make it worth going to see the glacier and stay on the ranch. There are other areas for people who are into more hiking or walking. So going up to El Chilton, which is quite close, it's about an hour's drive to El Calafate. And it's really about, are you talking to people who just want to go and experience it, or are you talking to active walkers or active hikers? And as I said, I'm not an active hiker, so I wasn't interested in going there. Buenos Aires, I would stay for a minimum of 3 nights. And Mendoza, I kind of think, again, this is a minimum, but I did it rushed. So you don't want to do it less than 2, maybe 3 nights. Santiago, especially if you're just doing Chile, you could do 2 nights at the end to really finish off your trip.
Fabulous. Sue is asking, did you experience any altitude symptoms?
I didn't, and it was quite interesting. When I went to Nayara Alto, they said they recommended not to go to the geysers until we'd been in the Atacama for 2 days so that we would be able to be acclimatized. So I think that really helped. I think it's about doing it gradually. So getting to the place. And, if you kind of arrive in Atacama and go the very next day up to 4,500 feet, which or meters, I think some people might have experienced it, but the people who were with us said, don't do it on the first day, wait at least a day until you're acclimatized.
That's great advice. Thank you very much. Sean is asking, any horse riding experiences available for experienced riders?
Yes, actually, it was quite interesting because when I first got there and I thought, I don't know, let me just do a bit backstory. I've said about my 60 things for 60th. So I set myself a challenge. And as I said to you, horse riding, I'd never been on a horse before. And the first thing I saw was, here it was 3 hours, and I thought, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to do this. And so it was just so fortuitous that I met kitty and did that horse riding experience. But what I saw there, that there were intermediate and advanced riders who were going off for, where I was doing a half day walk, they were doing a half day ride through Patagonia. So you had 3 hour sessions, which were, groups, and they put people into different abilities. So yes, absolutely. Experienced riders had opportunities for much
Brilliant.
more adventure.
And I think there's a couple of comments on here, people saying that they've been inspired by all 60 for 60 things there, Carol. So
I think you said you did 30 for 30, didn't you?
yeah.
Half of it. So I think you've got to do 40 for 40, 50
Yes.
for 50, 60 for 60. And let me tell you, it's not just big things. I want to do female founders. I want to mentor a female founder. I want to do a litter picking day. I want to plant a tree for my 60th. I want to do things like that. And I've said to my team, and I'll put it out to all of you here. If anyone's got any, I've only got about 50 on my list, so I've got room for anyone else wants to do any challenges or any suggestions.
I think we'll put that out to the team as
Across
well,
the whole
Carol.
year. I'm doing it across the whole year. So, absolutely 60 things for 60. My husband said I should put the ice trekking on there, but I said, no, it's got to be something I want to do. And that was definitely not something I wanted to do.
Brilliant. There's a couple of wine questions on here. Helen's asking, did you have a favourite winery on this trip? And also, what's your favourite Chilean wine? 2 in 1 there.
Okay, so starting with my favorite, I established Carmenere, which I never knew. I knew I didn't like Malbec because it was too heavy for me, but I really like Carmenere. And that was a Chilean wine. And I think what I loved was just, I liked the smaller boutique. We did go to some of the bigger ones just to kind of see, and there were lots of people around it. And I loved the really small, entrepreneurial, small boutique vineyards, but also some of the restaurants that did the pairing of, so you go and you have a very light lunch, and I kind of thought, oh no, I don't want to do this, but it was really light, it was lovely, and you had a different wine with each course, so that was really special.
Beautiful. And there's a couple on here. I think we've answered about the best times to go. You've sort of said November to April, didn't you? So that's on that one.
I mean, it's really winter from May to end of October in Patagonia. So, some of the places, a lot of the places are closed, some of the places are open. It's more for hardcore hikers and climbers, not really our audience.
Sure. Okay, I think there's one lovely question to end on from all of these. So we've answered pretty much all of these, I think, on here. What was Carol's favourite moment from the whole trip?
It's got to be that horse riding. And I would say the horse riding, that it was amazing to meet Kitty. And it was just one of those moments, my husband said, you can't ask her because that's not what she does. She doesn't take people out on tours. And I asked her if she'd train me and she said yes. And it was like a real cowgirl who taught me how to ride a horse, which was amazing. But then paired with that was the ability for me to actually feel confident and go and ride down by the lakes and, along with the mountains and the backdrop. It was incredible and something I will never forget.
That's amazing. That's a very meant to be moment there for you, Carol.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Right, guys, I think that's pretty much all we've got time for today. Again, if you haven't already confirmed your attendance, please scan that QR code there or complete the link in the comments section as well. And Carol, if anyone's got there's a couple of people got some like to inquire about some of these. So you did say get in touch.
Just definitely get in touch, but more specifically, if you've got things you want to talk about or would like me to talk with you with your clients, I'm really happy to do that. We want to help you make sure you get some of these incredible adventures sold.
Absolutely. And all the sort of reels you've seen throughout the presentation, we'll pop those on our Facebook page later on this week. So you've got those to start sharing on your socials as well to really inspire your customers, because this is too good not to share. But thank you as always for joining us today, guys. Thank you, Carol, for sharing your experiences.
Thank you very much for listening, taking the time to listen.
Yes, thank you, guys, and have a great rest of your day.
Okay, goodbye. Bye.